Good afternoon. This is Anna T. Bellum for Abolition News Network, February 6, 1865, at the River Queen, Hampton Roads, Virginia. President Lincoln just has concluded peace talks with 3 Confederate peace commissioners. Never before has a sitting U.S. president began a peace talk with a sitting enemy during a shooting war. We have one of the 3 commissioners here, Alexander H. Stephens, Vice President of the Confederate States of America with Georgia, about to tell us how the talks went.
Thank you for having me on the show, Ms. Bell.
How do you do? Mr. Stephens, was there some progress made with all of this?
Well, Ms. Bell, we had meetings of sorts with the President and proposed to have him sign an agreement recognizing us as an independent country instead of calling us rebels. And then, in return, we would participate in a joint invasion of Mexico to win Texas.
And how did that go?
It was an absolute insult. He refused to recognize our separate and legitimate government. He told us that only the U.S. Congress can declare war with Mexico if necessary.
I'd like to enter a comment.
And who are you?
My name is Jane Plum. I'm the receptionist at A&N. And, well, I've been following this whole rotten plan from the beginning. And in my opinion, which I will tell the President, you and your commissioners are just trying to continue the status quo of slavery as it was before the war. And don't you know, you're losers.
Miss Flum, you're insulting their honor. Mr. Stephens, what in your own words are you asking?
Peace, honor, and cessation of hostilities.
You are not. I overheard what the President said. I was eavesdropping. He said that he would stop the fighting when those who started the hostilities would give up their slaves. And by the way, the U.S. Congress has passed the 13th Amendment. And you can vote on it if you return to the Union.
Well, maybe he doesn't want to go.
Yeah, no, that would be humiliating to us.
You're humiliating. You would have all the protection of the U.S. Congress and be able to vote for president.
Well, you can take that idea and we are a separate and sovereign state, and we want to be treated as such, as an equal.
Miss Flum, please do not hurt his feelings.
Yes, my feelings are starting to hurt.
Well, I'll hurt your feelings even more. I saw what the President wrote, and he said there are no peace commissioners in the city or likely to be. He doesn't even recognize your existence.
Mr. Stephens, is there anything in President Lincoln's terms that you're willing to consider?
Well, if slavery were abolished as the President demanded as a precondition for negotiation, what are we to do? The Negroes will not work unless they're forced to it, and I'll tell you what, we will all starve together.
Well, I overheard what the President said. He said you reminded him of a story of an Illinois farmer that told his neighbor an easy way to feed hogs. You put potatoes in a field, you let them mature, you let the hogs loose, and you let them get their own food.
Well, what are they going to do if the ground's frozen in winter?
You let them root it out. These white Southerns need to learn to make an honest living or starve.
I've had enough. My final suggestion, let's have a prisoner exchange. I have a nephew in the North prison camp. Maybe we could exchange him for one of our Yankee prisoners.
Well, maybe not all is lost then. There's something that you could get out of this.
You know, I couldn't help but notice you still have a flag with 36 stars on it, one for each of our southern states.
Yes, well, it takes a lot of effort to remove them, and besides, we kind of hope one day they'll come back.
Yes, and if you don't come back, I'll rip that star right off that represents Georgia. You know, the Lincoln traveled 200 miles to meet your cronies, only to come back with a flea in his ear. I have one last gift for you. Here's some sour grapes to remind us by.
Oh, I have had enough. I have never been so humiliated in my entire life. I am leaving.
Miss Flum, you are unbelievable. You stopped me from asking him the most important question of this interview. President Lincoln was prepared to offer the slave states $400 million in government bonds if they could abandon all resistance to the national government by April 1st. He was also going to pardon all of their political offenses and release their forfeited property. Yesterday, his cabinet turned him down unanimously to recommend that to Congress.
Well, I wouldn't take his $4 million either. I've had so many friends that's killed by the war that he offers them a pile of money. I mean, all these people should go to prison as far as I'm concerned.
Now we'll never know if the southern states would rejoin the Union by consent and save thousands of lives instead of surrendering in bitterness. We missed what might have been a major turning point in U.S. history at the Hampton Roads Peace Conference, February 6, 1865. This is Anna T. Bellum for A&N saying, good afternoon.
Alex Stevens went back to Georgia a broken man. He wept when he heard of Lincoln's death at the Ford Theater. Lincoln had promised mercy. Stevens was arrested on May 11, 1865, and jailed in the Boston harbor. The general opinion of the Army was that all senior rebel leaders should be exterminated. Stevens was released from prison after 5 months with help from General Grant, and Georgia sent him back to Congress in 1872. Stevens was elected governor of Georgia in 1882. A biography recorded one criticism of his administration as excessive use of the pardoning power.